Hi, this is CJ, and this is 316 Seconds. Let's go. But when you read this story further, you realize that Balaam understands the importance of having an updated conversation with God. And that truly is the cornerstone of today's episode. You cannot rely on the past revelation to live your life today. So the same God who tells Balak in verse 13 to refuse to go with the people from the king of Balak tells him in verse 20, if the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that you shall do. 7 verses later, there is a brand new revelation. God has given his permission to Balaam to go with the people from Balak. But he tells him, when you get there, only do what I, God, tell you to do. Now, this story even gets a bit more interesting. In verse 22, it reads, then God's anger was aroused because he went. Remember, God told him he can go in verse 20. He goes in verse 21. And then God gets mad in verse 22 because he went. And so God sends an angel who stands in his way. And this is the more popular part of the story. And the angel, the donkey which Balaam is riding on, begins to, act kind of crazy. And Balaam gets upset. And eventually Balaam does see the angel after his donkey has spoken to him. Sidebar. If a donkey is having a conversation, this part tickled me so much. Balaam must have understood the ways of God. That when his donkey began to speak to him, Balaam was having a full-on conversation with his donkey. Nothing about that whole situation felt weird to him. It was okay. Well, I guess he knew God enough that God was able to make the impossible pretty much commonplace. And this is what I love about verse 30. Remember in verse 20, God says go. 21, God says don't go. And then in verse 31, now Balaam can see the angel. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to stand against you, because your way is perverse before me. And here's the second thing I find amazing about God, is that God was still speaking to a man even though his ways were perverse before him. Be careful, the fact you're hearing from God, or the fact you're receiving instruction or you're receiving manifestation, does not always mean that God approves of your action. Oh, brothers and sisters, be very careful. The fact you can hear a word of prophecy, a word of knowledge, a word of wisdom does not always mean that you're on the right path. Here is a prophet who has heard God repeatedly, has had conversations with God, but he is on a perverse path. In wrapping up this chapter, it goes on, and then Balaam said to the angel, verse 34, I have sinned, for I did not know you stood in the way against me. Now, therefore, if it displeases you, I will turn back. Then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, go with the man, but only the word that I speak to you, that you shall speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. The lessons today are so profound. Forgive the length of this session, but I thought it was required for us to learn 2 key things today. Number 1, you can't exist on old revelation. If you have a mouth and you eat food, you can't expect nourishment from the food you ate a year ago. Okay? Your relationship with God must be updated, and you must constantly seek after him. Second key point here, that even though you might be working miracles and signs and wonders, and you're healing the sick and raising the dead, you must ask yourself and search your heart, because you might just be acting in perversion. Have yourselves a wonderful day. God bless you all in Jesus' name.